Mr. Umamara's doing this morning. When I was in China, we kind of started all of this, and we have we talk to Norm sometime. From birth, people are trained from a very young age to obey, not think, don't stick your neck out, ever. If you have an idea, it'll be stolen, and you're responsible for the idea. If it's a bad idea, it'll be stolen, you'll be punished. If it's a good idea, then the person above you will take the credit. Whole society is effectively the opposite of Japan. So traveling to all these leading companies, there is a 2%. This is the answer to Felipe's presentation from last year. Why don't only 2% make it? Not, hey, we're all doing lean at a high level. I'm saying it's actually ingrained and taken off. And so I think we've done this. Michael said this from Yellow Tools. Lean's like baking a bunch of delicious cookies. It was said today. There's no right recipe. Yes, but that one statement, I think, is the road, unintentionally, the road to hell is paved with good intention. If you stray too far outside the recipe for baking cookies, you're no longer baking cookies, you're making something else. And that's okay, so long as you are aware that it is. So this is what I found going to visit world-class facilities, and what I tweaked, and some of it's so ingrained that most of us that are at the good facilities don't even know why. It's just so natural. Okay, so this is me. I'm a Venn diagram between lean and real estate. 287 units, 0 to 287. Currently, no experience to $44 million, all 3 years. The way I did that was with 2-second lean and some other fundamentals. Any company we buy that I'll ever own and be a part of will be a 2-second lean company. It's just, may not start out that way. And so we've had to learn and adapt. Every few months we buy something and we integrate it. And so here's what I think. I've identified 5 things called the 5 horsemen of the apocalypse. If any one of these exists in your company or isn't to a certain level, then your company will not thrive at that really, really high level. And one of them I even disagree with Seating Matters, and I think I'll challenge you guys with reasons. But if one of these 5 things is present, then it's a lukewarm, or you have that, if you walk away, will it implode? And that's the end of the honeymoon period. You found lean, it's exciting. Why won't it stick? Why won't it stick? I've tried, why won't it stick? Why is the line going slack? So here they are, in my opinion. First one, I made this incorrectly. The first one is, are you in charge? Alex Ramirez is the only person on earth that I am aware of that has actually gotten 2-second lean to stick if you didn't have control. So you can only control where you're at and below. So you don't have to be the owner. If you're the CEO, you can go down. If you're a department head and you have true full free reign, you can kind of do this. Are you in charge? Second one, do you have a cleaning chore routine, and is the owner a part of that? Are you and your leadership integrating through? Right off the bat, most of you guys here have these 2 things. It's going to deviate from here very drastically. And we get into nuances that I believe are the difference between the struggle and the people who actually get lean to take root at a deep level. So, but this is a big one, right? Norm's thing, Asian culture, because I was shout out my little boss. The fact that I went and cleaned the bathrooms in China, everyone basically had to. It was not possible for them to stay employed and not do it because we set the example. Same thing, right? Humble leadership, that's what that's sharing. Okay, here's the crazy one. This is where the debate begins. Do you 3S and have morning meeting every day? Who does not have 3S and morning meeting every day? Cool, that's really awesome. Lots of people, they'll say, okay, I'll outsmart the system. I'll do 3S on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, morning meeting will be Tuesday, Thursday, look how smart I am, right? So that's every day, but that's only part of the story. Is 3S first? Who has 3S first? Who has 3S second? Okay. It is my belief, and Paul will say it and rectify it, 3S, in my opinion, should be first, and here's why. Who's read the book Talent Code? All right. There's a dopamine serotonin hit. When you first show up at work, the first thing you do is 3S, you make the improvement. Dopamine is released when you make the decision to do something. Serotonin is released when you accomplish it. So dopamine, I'm going to go hunt that deer and stalk it for 3 days from let's think back a long time. That's what dopamine is, what got you to be determined to hunt that deer down. When the deer was taken down, serotonin was released. It calmed you down, and then it left you wanting more dopamine. It's a small loop. Shopping addiction is much like the same thing. It's just backwards. It's a small doom loop. For dopamine and serotonin, it's the first thing they encounter during the day. It sets them up right, your team right up in the meeting, right before the first thing is there. Okay, now the next one is Maslow's hierarchy of needs. When you do the dopamine serotonin hit, every day you're allowing your workforce to come up with a decision and then act upon it. Come up with a decision and act upon it. And we're going to go over that a little bit with head, hearts, hands. So you are getting them, your team, chemically addicted to working for you. It's a drug addiction. It's just in their brain, and it's through them achieving self-actualization. I came up with an idea, I executed, I accomplished. That is a rare thing to have in today's society. When you have this mechanism every morning, and it's the first thing that happens, you start the day with that. Then you do morning meeting, and there's learning time. Okay, and then people are getting closer and closer to self-actualization, which we probably have as entrepreneurs. Who is shocked that so many people come in on a Saturday to work here? Kind of crazy. A lot of the work, how did that happen? It's because their team is addicted to coming to work. They love it. They love their job. They want to do nothing else. That's how I got there. Okay, so I'm going to share the mechanism of how that works. Okay, the next one. Does morning meetings cycle through every day? This is where we start to deviate. This is where the first 18 months I pushed lean. Unless I say pushed lean, it was very difficult. And then after making some tweaks, it became very easy. Overnight we changed. So not only does morning meetings cycle through every person in the company, but are they shooting the before and after videos, and are they making the slides and present? Who has everybody, who does not have that happening? Who is like one or two guys are making the slides, or you are making the slides? Okay. Do you love the growth in your company? Like, it's kind of lukewarm adoption. How did we get so good at 2-second lean? Or anything? We know by teaching it. So when they are cycling through and doing it, they're the ones that are binding through. So a lot of us are missing that. Hey, I'm the one leading the discussion. No, they should lead the discussion. We're gonna get more of that here in a little bit. Okay, the last one is, do you have a mentorship in place of train the trainers to train the trainers to train the trainers? I have 4D, 3 max. Train the trainers 4 deep and a maximum of 3 people below you. This is stuff that Seating Matters has ingrained. Very, very deeply ingrained. My job to teach, I'm going to spend my time with 3 people. Those 3 people will then train 3 people below them, and then I can focus on the rest of my job. So that's kind of where those 5 horsemen, if you're missing one of these, then usually it's a lukewarm adoption, or you just can't get it off the ground and keep it that way for some reason. Okay, so now we're going to go a little bit lower tech. Here's everything. I'll come back to this slide at the end. That's everything. Defect. Does anyone have that marker, the black marker? There's another disconnect. The other disconnect is 2-second lean will not make you more money. I'm saying some pretty crazy stuff right now. 2-second lean will not make you more money. It is not the purpose of 2-second lean. 70% of our business, in my opinion, is culture. 30% is everything else. Everything else. This is going to be your Kanban system. This is going to be your one-piece flow. This is going to be your sales and marketing funnel. This is going to be all the things that make you money. Are you doing an 80-20 study? Where do you make all your money? What's your second? That's the tools. People usually come to 2-second lean thinking they're going to make more money. Some of us get there. Others don't. The Japanese, they get a leg up because their culture is already pre-trained as a culture of a country. Their training is above ours. So we've got to work to change this. Okay, so if you teach something, How much retention do you have?
10%.
Oh, it's close. All right. If you're listening to something, like we're not really engaged, if there's no language barrier or cultural barrier, it's 10%. If I'm asking questions and you guys are arriving at the answer, then it's 30%. That's discussion, debate. 50 to 75% retention is if you do it, which hopefully you're doing it right. And the cheat code is 90% is if you teach it. So I'm going to go back a few slides. When you teach it, that is when you learn it. You want the worst person at the thing to teach the thing until they're the best at it. You're not just abandoning them and be like, listen, I know you made those 5 defects with the wiring harness. Go teach everybody. No, you're going to make sure they know it right, and you're going to sit there and observe as they cycle through that. Okay, the next one. We go back to these. Hands, heads, hearts. This is directly from the 2019 GLOS Summit from Seating Matters. What the hands do, the head will remember, and eventually the heart will believe. Okay, so that's great. What does it mean? If you have the mechanism of 3S plus morning meeting every day, what we found very helpful, is we used the morning routine where we did a small team meeting leader. So at 07, we have a 5-minute meeting per team. If you're a small company, just have everybody together. All right. At 7:05, you did 3S. 7:30, morning meeting, and then work. And then at the end of the day, we have last 10 minutes of 1S. 1S is just clean your work area, pre-stage for the next day. That's what Mr. Amazura was saying yesterday. Okay, well, how does this help us? Hands, heads, hearts. This is directly from what I internalized from Seating Matters, and it helped us change the mindset of 350 people trained from birth to only obey and not think. Whether you believe it or you want it or not, or you're resistant, if you do it every day, you have no choice but to adapt and you will eventually believe it. Usually hands happens around a month. They'll begin to understand it. Heads, they know it about 3 months. They'll really genuinely know it. They believe it after about 6 months. Any new idea? Okay. So, the team meeting. We had 3S first, but the problem was, well, people were just hanging around. They weren't doing anything. They were just sweeping constantly cleaning. I'm sure that's never happened to you guys before. But what we'll do is we'll say, hey guys, the 3S focus for this week is no handwritten labels. You can do a more important improvement to you, but that's the 3S focus, no handwritten labels. The next one is 3S focus of the week is going to be Velcro and everything. Next 3S focus of the week is clean your behind. Clean the things that you don't go behind very often, right? So have some fun with that. You're introducing the tools, right? Here's the 30%. Here's everything else. Hey guys, we keep making this defect over and over. I'll integrate it into either the morning meeting or 3S, and then they're gonna, over time, because they're the ones presenting it, they're gonna do hands, heads, hearts. It's a replication. Hands, heads, hearts. Over it and over and over. Over time, they'll learn the thing and you can update it. So there's only 2 things that I notice that I pay attention to in my company. It is, what does my morning routine look like? If I see an issue with my culture, any issue, like one time we started having a lot of defects after walk-in properties. You see any issue, we then integrate that into the morning meeting slides, and everybody trains it until we're satisfied that the defect will go away and stay away, because they now know it, and they've internalized it, they taught it. If we want them to learn a new task, we will then integrate that to morning meeting. Hey guys, it's gonna be Kaizen foam, here's how you do it. 5-minute meeting, all together, and then they disperse, they do the morning meeting, or they do 3S, come back, have morning meeting, start your workday. It is a tactic. So 2-second lean can be summed up in this thing. It is a culture replication and building device. Who's just blown away by the creativity of Jack's team? Okay, crazy, right? Clearly, Jack is having everybody work very, very hard on critical thinking skills, and it gives them a lot of freedom to do that. There's probably a continuous cycle of that happening. Okay, last one for Ryan's. This is going back to the Train 3 Deep. So Ryan said something very profound to me. I think it was Declan, Allison, and JB when I went to visit. Ryan only spends his day with those 3 people. He does whatever his job is, and then he mentors those 3 people. And then when he mentors those 3 people, they then go and mentor 3 more people. With questions only. You know the answer. I think this comes directly from Toyota Way. You know the answers. You can only ask questions. Paul will make us say anything we want. Paul already knows the answer. He's so skilled. He's asking us the questions to arrive at there. That's one of the big differences. We keep giving the answers and you get a lukewarm results. Ask them the questions so they arrive at it. Now there's one last tier. Everybody stops there. There's one more tier. Beyond that. And we did this. We stood there with Pat. Paul watched me train Pat, train one of the managers, train an employee. We sat with them until we mentored the ability. It was a system, a process, replicated the training. So from the training all the way down, we made sure they understood it through mentorship. Then you sat again and you observed that person replicate it down. If Ryan wants to know, is Patty a team lead? He's not a team lead, right? If Patty wants to know if something critical is going on, or sorry, Ryan wants to know if Patty knows, he'll ask Patty. And if Patty doesn't know, then he's going to say, who trained you? He's going to go up the line and he's going to say, can you show me this process, please? And then if that person doesn't know, hey, who trained you? And so on and so forth. The bigger thing is the exhausting part of 2-second lean that we haven't done is we haven't systematized it. When your morning routine is 3S plus morning meeting every day, and then you have that mentorship structure, the system is in charge, along with the people going through the system, while they're 90% learning, teaching, they're actually learning. That's how we got so good. The reason we generally have a lukewarm thing is because one of the 5 horsemen exists. There's a lot more to it, so I only pay attention to 2 things. I pay attention to how my morning routine is, how my culture is responding, and then I go to solve the next problem. Whatever the big problem is. Is it sales? Is it, critical? Is it going to be a high-level machine we buy? Is it going to be the lifeblood of the company? Is it us? We should change locations of the company. Whatever that is, we're free to do that because we have a structure, a mechanism. The mechanism is constantly cloning people. 2-second lean is the 70%, and it's the most important. That's why it's taking up so much. The 30% is everything else, sales, making this stuff. And you can only get there if you have the culture doing it for you. You have hundreds of you doing it. Paul grabbed me and said, Hugh, you're one person. Your job is not to do the thing. You get it. We get that you get it. You need to clone yourself. This is the mechanism that I found out through traveling to all of your companies. And in 1 month, it changed that Chinese facility. We made 300 people critical thinkers. It was incredible. So this mechanism is just using hands, heads, hearts. You get rid of the resistance. There's the grumbling, whatever. It overcomes that, but then it sticks. It sticks, and you don't have to be the guy that does it. It takes like 3 to 6 months to set up. It is a pain. I know, because we're constantly setting it up all the time when we buy new companies. This is what I believe is the secret sauce, the recipe. One of the things that I told my guys will sometimes be like, hey, listen, morning meeting is getting stale. 3S is, we're just doing everything surface level. So what do we do about that? I said, hey, listen, Daniel, I appreciate it. Appreciate it. We will go to the gym every day. Every day we will go to the gym. The exercise we do at the gym can change. Whatever's not going right in your company, roll into the morning meeting, or your morning routine until it goes away. And then, if you get to train the trainer, to train the trainer, to train the trainer, then at that point, you're in really good shape. If we go back to this, what happens when you get to the guy on the line? Who does he train? He just trains the next guy over. hey Jim, come here. I just learned this. Can you please teach John? John, can you please teach Bob? Bob, can you please teach me? And you'll see if they know and you follow the chain back. It's not about the training, it's do you have a system to train? That's how we do it without getting worn out. Jack's facility has incredible critical thinkers that are super creative because that is a system that organically exists. Because all of us were like, well, did Jack solve this for you? And most of the time the answer was no, Jack will show up and kind of walk me through it, and I end up doing it. So when you see a company who's excelling, they usually have some degree of these 5 things. Even CD Matters, I think, if 3S were first, that they get a better output in what their improvements are. I know people are like, well, but then right after 3S, we'll just go right to work. 3S is there to intentionally sandbag work from happening during the morning meetings so they actually do it. If you flip-flop it, the best people, I find myself working where I'll go, it's supposed to be 3S time if it's flip-flopped, and then you just get right to work. It's very intentional right there. Paul would be like, of course, I said it in the book. I said it in the book 3 times, and I was in the book 3 times, it's still that way. So, anyways, those are my questions. Is there any questions? No, let's.
Okay, question.
I want to make sure I heard one thing that you said at the end right. Did you say the best way to test your training basically is that you train someone, have them train someone, have them train someone, and then you have that last person come back and retrain you to make sure that the training went all the way through? Did I hear that right?
That's correct. Well, one caveat is you're not just training them and letting them go. You're still, it's 3 deep always. So you are observing the person you just trained to train the next person. So you can catch it immediately, right? If they're teaching it wrong, they're going to internalize it wrong. It's 90%. So then that all shifts down. So it doesn't matter if you're a flat organization at 5 to 10 people, or you're a big organization at 300 or 1,000. This mechanism will work all the way. And then no more than 3, that's a big one. There's some fancy study out there. You'll split the attention. No more than 3 to 5.
Okay, next. More questions? No more? Okay.
This is a big challenge.
Microphone.
So I just didn't get the hands, heads, hearts point, and I'm just wondering if you can clarify.
Okay. So I think that actually came from the Montessori school. What your hands do, you will remember. After you remember it, eventually you'll internalize it. So the mechanism we're using is this is the way humans learn, right? Best on, do it. If you do it, you'll know it, right? So getting your guys to do it. We'll just integrate that into what their 3S focus is, and then your guys will do it. Over time, this is about 1 month, over time it'll be the head, they'll understand it, but they'll genuinely believe it and internalize it. Ryan will always say, I'm trying to internalize it. He might know it on surface level, but he hasn't internalized it yet. So that's the difference, the 3 levels of learning.
Okay, I can explain that really simply. It's what happens in Japan. School children clean the school. When they first do it, they don't necessarily understand why, but they clean the school. After a month or 2, they go, yeah, I understand how to clean the school, and I understand the why how to clean the school. A year later, you ask Japanese children, do you like cleaning the school? Yes, it makes me feel good, it's wonderful. It went from hands to, yes, I understand the importance, to it's in their heart, they love it. It's cool, they're happy, they're all happy doing it.
Anyone have a turnaround story?
Makes
Like
sense?
Someone who fought you on lean, and then suddenly they're one of your best lean guys? That's what happened.
On that too, IKEA sums it up really good. You can buy their hands and you can train their head, but until you have their heart, you don't have the whole body. Right? And that's how you get shit done.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely, but it takes time and you have to be consistent. Okay, more questions.
I have a question to you. So you're talking about the morning meeting, and then you're talking about this one person coaches 3 persons and mentors 3 persons. During the morning meeting, during the improvement time and the 3Sing, what is the role of the different levels of mentors, like orienting or supervising the 3S time? Are there training specifically on the floor, on the shop floor during the 3Sing improvement time? So how does that marry with the 3Sing time?
So it depends on, I think your question was, what's the role of the people during mentorship or the leadership during 3S time? The leadership should still be doing the improvements, or you use the whole 3S time to train if it's something new. Like if you're just introducing Kaizen Fo and you want to get it perfect, I would just take the whole morning meeting and just train to that. The whole 3S morning meeting until you get it. And then, and it should be inspection, the people should actually be doing it. Another thing is, for this team meeting, this like 30-second to 5-minute meeting, the awesome thing is your team leads now get a precision weapon. Hey guys, in our department, we don't like this area right here. Not only should we do this for 3S, we're just gonna do this shelf. Everyone on the team's gonna do that. Instead of, a lot of the times what we found is a lot of people, even if they want to do 3S, they don't know what to do. So, they don't know what to do, we know what to do because we've done it and taught it enough. So you just use the hands, heads, heart method to integrate it. Over long periods of time, it'll ripple through the whole organization. Okay. More questions?
Okay, Hugh, the training and the morning meeting. So how does that work for you when somebody's hosting or coaching the morning meeting? The coach and the trainer, how does that work? Like, what does that look like?
Oh, that's a great question. Thank you for asking it. So, if we did morning meeting, if we did morning meeting, whoever presented morning meeting is the next trainer for the next morning meeting. And then that person then trains the next person. So you get us out of doing it. A lot of the things is it's just exhausting getting the culture up and running. So if you just systematize it and then you make everybody follow the system, then there's those things. I think Paul often will say to people in this room, get your head out of your ass and do it. That's what they mean. There's a point where we kind of get at surface level, but we're afraid to ruffle the feathers or do whatever. You just make it mandatory. I think someone was talking about, oh, I tried to do the pool method versus the mandatory way. There's kind of a carrot and stick side. Hey, if you want to be here on Monday, then you're going to be up here doing the morning meeting and we cycle through.
More questions? Okay, Hugh, thank you very much.